take that respect, all right? It's out there. We on the doorstep of greatness. Go out there and get it.
56. That's the number of Ram fan favorite Ricky Brewer. Players across the country know exactly where he is on the field at all times, and coaching staffs must game plan around this hard-hitting middle linebacker. Ricky was a first-team All-State selection in 2005 as a high school senior and led the state of Colorado that year with 156 tackles. His nose for the football led him to Fort Collins in 2006, where he accepted a scholarship to play linebacker for the Green and Gold. After redshirting in his first season of college eligibility, Ricky exploded on the college football scene in 2007. Despite yet another disappointing season, under the direction of then head coach Sonny Lubick, Ricky shined individually where he finished third on the team with 64 tackles. He was the Mountain West media's choice as the conference's freshman of the year before the program decided to head in a new direction.
Save your energy for this kickoff, and you guys will be ready. Hey, smart, one play at a time. 1, 2, 3.
CSU legend Sonny Lubick's tenure as head coach came to an abrupt end that fall, and NFL personalities Larry Kerr and Steve Fairchild took the keys to the ignition. New head coach Steve Fairchild's first order of business was to meet with his inherited sophomore All-American.
When I got on campus and had a chance to meet with him, I realized what charisma he had and what leadership skills he had. And immediately, my first year, his sophomore year, he became a key part of what we were doing, not just defensively, but just as a football team on and off the field, just the way he conducted himself.
It was really your sophomore year that kind of put you on the map as a, I know that you played weak side linebacker that year, and really that was when you kind of really started making a name for yourself here in Fort Collins.
We had a whole new coaching staff come in, and I feel like Coach Larry Kerr, our defensive coordinator, did a great job of just educating me about the game itself, teaching me about football.
It's hard to explain how proud a parent can be, to see their son out there playing college ball for the first time.
Even since he's been playing football, all the games has been exciting to go to. It's like we just be prepared to go.
He was better than I thought he was, because I didn't know. I didn't have no idea how good he was going to be.
Sophomore year was big. I think about it a lot.
Game time.
Ricky led the team in tackles in his memorable sophomore year and ranked 5th in the entire Mountain West Conference, averaging close to 9 tackles per game. He earned honorable mention all-conference recognition, starting all 12 games for the Green and Gold at weak side linebacker. He was poised to have an even bigger season in his junior campaign and had the makings to play an integral part at middle linebacker in Larry Kerr's new defense. However, Ricky's off-the-field life began to take a turn for the worst.
Knowing Ricky as a sophomore, you could see that he was still a guy that was growing, still learning. At that time, he still wasn't entirely focused on everything in a positive direction. He still had other things tugging at him besides football and school, I think.
Well, basically, I feel like I was very immature sophomore year, and immature in a lot of ways.
Ricky made an errant judgment that forced the university to suspend him for the full 2009 season for violating team rules. The suspension shocked everyone within the Fort Collins community, especially when the athletic department declined to specify the nature of his infraction, citing privacy issues. It wasn't until I sat down with Ricky personally that he began to open up and gain a sense of closure to this painful experience.
Not necessarily get into what happened last year, but just stuff ends up hitting the fan. You end up getting suspended by the NCAA for the year. What exactly happened, and how much did you learn about yourself through that whole experience?
Well, I tested positive for marijuana, so that was a big disappointment to myself, to my family. It was just one of those situations, where you're the one that's picked. I can't blame anyone else but myself.
It's not something a parent want to hear, but we had that kind of relationship where he could tell me anything, and that's important.
How many times have I been told not to do drugs, not to smoke weed?
Right.
I mean, I've been told that a lot of times.
Well, it was a very difficult situation for Ricky and his family. When we got the word, obviously we're all very disappointed, and then Ricky and his parents came down and met with myself and Coach Fairchild, and we just sat and talked about the incident, and said, you know, there's no going back.
I wanted to talk about it candidly in front of his parents. I wanted to talk about the roads that lied ahead.
Child did all the talking. He was, of course, you know, he was disappointed. He was pretty mad, you know what I mean? This is a guy that you're looking for to do big things for you this coming season.
You know, we just put a lot of things out there on the table, and there weren't a lot of good answers. There weren't a lot of real fun things to be talking about, but it had to be said. We had to map it out, and I wanted him, his parents, and everybody to be on the same page.
Well, I just told him, just hold your head up. Don't beat yourself up really bad, because he was trying to do that, and I wouldn't let him. I was like, I still have faith in God, and everything's going to work out for your good, and don't beat yourself up.
I had to support him or he wasn't going to ever bounce back. And so I just told him that it's not what he did, is how he bounced back from it.
You know, what's done's been done, but how can we benefit in the future from this situation?
Ricky, if anybody could, Ricky could take an incident like this and turn it into a positive.
The coaching staff, Coach Kerr, Coach Fairchild, the administration, I mean, they could have easily kicked me to the side. They're like, all right, well, we can't use you this year. You know, you got to find a new home. I took such a great opportunity for granted and blew it doing the stuff that we're told not to do every day.
Well, I think that he realized you can't take anything for granted.
You know, it'd have been easy just to cut ties and try to make a statement as a new head coach, but deep down inside, it's a guy's character, and Ricky's got so much good in him that I believe he deserved a second chance.
It became a situation where we said, okay, let's sit down, let's figure out how we can make something good come out of this, and we just encouraged Ricky, okay, here's what you got to do. You got to change your lifestyle in that aspect, obviously, and now you got to focus on making changes in other areas of your life that can be positive, and accept your punishment, move on, and that's exactly what he did.
Praise the Lord. I command my hands to praise the Lord together. I command my hands.
Perhaps the biggest change Ricky made in his personal life was his relationship with Christ. He was raised in a Christian home, but when he went away to college to live on his own for the first time, Ricky admits his spiritual life faded in his first 3 years in Fort Collins. When the suspension was handed down to Ricky in March of 2009, he soon realized he could not make it through this experience alone. He began to lean on his faith in God.
And I took that time to just find myself in God too as well. And I think that was a key factor in making it through that year.
You know, I think obviously the spiritual aspect of it has been a big plus for Ricky as he talks about that. You know, I know personally that I couldn't go on without that aspect in my life. You know, you can't do it by yourself.
With the support of the coaching staff, his teammates, and most importantly his family and friends, Ricky returned to his starting role at middle linebacker for his senior year in 2010. He was voted a team captain by his teammates, and his resiliency earned back the respect of the coaches as well. His return to the defense was welcomed with open arms, and his development despite missing a full season characterized him as one of the top senior linebackers in the country.
He has some natural leadership ability. He's one of those guys, he's got a charisma about him that draws people to him, players and coaches alike. I love being around his enthusiasm. He's a guy that really is not afraid to speak his mind. And he's done a great job that way for us. He's also a guy that can take criticism. I've been hard on Ricky. I've been especially hard on him because I want to push him to another level as a player, and so you know I don't hold anything back with him, and you know he knows that, and it's been challenging for him, but at the same time I think it's helping him become a better player.
You know, you take yourself out a whole year, and we're talking major college football. You don't play for a whole year. Of course, you're on the scout team and you're running and you're lifting and all that, but it's still not playing football.
You know, he and I visit. Sometimes I'll ask Ricky something I won't ask just everybody on the football team, because he'll know the pulse. He'll know what's right. I'll tell you what Ricky really is. He's a playmaker. He just, when we get in scrimmages in the off season or during two-a-days, or when we get in a game out there at Hughes on on Saturday, it just seems like the guy has a knack for finding the ball and making big plays.
And for him to come out and have the kind of season he had, that speaks volumes. I mean, that's hard to do.
Flying first aid stations located in the upper east.
Coming through, CSU Rams, last game, baby, go get the boot, let's do it. Bottom, you bottom, bottom, you bottom, bottom, you bottom, bottom, you bottom.
Ricky started all 12 games for the Rams on defense, earning first-team All-Conference honors from Phil Steele, who is a legendary sports writer and analyst on all things college football. Ricky received honorable mention recognition from the Mountain West Conference, and he led his CSU team with a career-best 105 tackles, including 8 for loss, forcing 2 fumbles and 1 sack. He became the first CSU player since Eric Pauley in 2002 and 2003 to record multiple 100-tackle seasons, making him one of the all-time greats in Rams history. So what's next for Ricky Brewer? His career compares to some of the all-time Ram greats, which has gotten him recognition at the next level. NFL scouts have kept a close eye on Ricky throughout his college career, and in March, he worked out for 9 NFL scouts in CSU's annual Pro Day. Now, despite his impressive college career, Ricky finds himself in an awkward position at the next level. Some NFL scouts have told me he's too small to play linebacker, while others believe he is not quick enough to play the safety position. Ricky silenced those critics at his pro day with a 37-inch vertical leap, then registering 24 reps on the bench press and a 10-1 in the broad jump. When it came time to run his all-important 40, Ricky woed those in attendance, posting a time of 4.58. He also ran an impressive 4.16 in the 5.10.5 shuttle, showcasing his abilities when it mattered most. His NFL dreams remain alive and well, with the NFL draft set for April 28th through the 30th in New York City, followed by the undrafted free agency signing period, which will begin when a new collective bargaining agreement is constructed.
Every football player wants to play on the next level. So if I'm fortunate enough to get a shot to play on that level, I'll take it.
I think there's a lot of pro teams looking at Ricky right now, and I think he definitely has will have an opportunity. There's still some phases of his game that he's got to continue, and that's where I try to push him the hardest, is how consistent he can be as a player. He's bigger, he's stronger, and he's a little bit faster, and so all those things are going to play into helping him continue to be a player in the future.
He's legitimately a pro prospect. I'd be surprised if a number, if not all the teams didn't do their homework with him, work him out, do the research. I know I'll be able to help him. I know this, the way he's conducted himself, the way he's worked through this whole thing is going to be a real positive in NFL scouts' minds.
It doesn't hurt the fact that you have 2 former NFL coordinators coaching you. Both Coach Steve Fairchild was with the Buffalo Bills with the offense, and then Coach Larry Kerr with the Broncos, and as a defensive coordinator. I mean, that's got to help to have those guys surrounding you.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Kerr puts a big emphasis on doing things the right way all the time. And I think that's what the main focus is in the National Football League as well.
The true great ones are the ones that deal with that setback and overcome it. And I think Ricky's such a classic case of that. He had some taken away and just roared back with a vengeance. He's a great one to look up to. I'm just thankful that this has worked out the way it has for Ricky Brewer. I'm proud to have been a part of it.
All he's going to do right now is give it 100% shot one time if he don't make it. And I don't have no doubts anyway that he's gonna succeed, whether he ever play another down of football or not.